girl, Pajama Pow Wow, and I have friends who is newly married, obviously, why I played the newlywed game. And I remember her telling me her story of being single and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, the people have to, they have to hear this. Because I'm going through that right now, and it's scary.
It's scary. Why?
Scary.
Oh my goodness.
You've been single for a really long time. You're like, okay, God. All right, I prayed for this, but
yeah.
I'm scared. Okay, so tell us how long you were single before you started dating Tehran.
Before I started dating Tehran, I have been single since 2000. Wow, my last relationship ended in 2013. And me and Tehran started dating in 2018. So that was 5 years since a relationship. But of me being intentionally like, I'm going to be by myself and really get to know who I was and love me and all of that. It was a year before me and him started dating. I had decided leading up to my 30th birthday that I was going to go on a man fast. And so I was like, I'm going to man fast for a year. And I think that probably looks different for everyone. But for me, what that meant was that I wasn't going to become emotionally or intimately or sexually involved with any man for a whole year. And it was hard, I tell you. Because what I learned during that time was that I had got so dependent on having some sort of relationship with a man. You started having like little playboy friends in middle school. Like, oh, that's my little boyfriend, and it's nothing going on. Y'all just hold hands to go to class.
Right.
But, have a little playboy friend, and I had like my first like real like boyfriend at about 14. I hope my mom doesn't see this because she'll be like, what you talking about? But I was 14. I had like my first like boyfriend. And when I took that time off when I turned 30, I realized like, oh my goodness, even though I hadn't had a relationship for since 2013, I still had some kind of a connection with men throughout that time. And so probably about 4 months into that year off, I was scared. I was going a little crazy because I was like, I don't got nobody to call. I don't got no, like, what do I do? Like, there's nobody to call. There's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to hey, come through real quick. Like, I don't have none of that. What do you do? You know what I mean?
I would look at my phone and be like,
well, that was another thing I had done was like, I got rid of stuff, numbers and all that type of thing. The absolute hardest part for me was I have a kid. And so whether I like it or not, I have some sort of connection and I have to have some sort of communication with her father. And so we had a really decent friendship. So much to the point where we could consider each other one of our, best friends. We just didn't get along relationship-wise or co-parenting. We would bump heads. But like friendship-wise, we could go to each other with with anything and everything. So that was a hard thing because I had made a decision not to become emotionally attached or involved with any man. So I had to pull that part of that relationship away. And that was hard for, both of us. Because,
that's a bond.
Right. We had to get used to, if I had to, I didn't even make phone calls. I would text only. So like I would text him like, okay, so are you picking Lyric up? Are like, what's the game plan? What are we doing? And that was really frustrating for him. So that would, trying to make sure I wouldn't have arguments and things with him.
Did you explain it? Like, did you explain?
I did. He laughed. He thought that was... He laughed at me. He thought it was funny. He's like, let me know how that goes. And because he, we were just really close. And so he was just like, I can't be included in that, but I had to include him in that. And so, that was probably one of the roughest things, because I can't completely avoid him. He can't completely be cut out of my life like I could, or not like I could have, but like I had to drop other people. Like, oh, well, that's, I can't have any of that attachment. And that was hard. But what I learned during that time was who I was and what I wanted to do. So I had started therapy about maybe 6 months prior to that decision. And I learned so much between the therapy and just that time of being like, I needed to know what was going to be best for me. I didn't feel like, one of the things I learned in therapy was I didn't feel like I was a great mom, but I always had dreams of being a great mom. And one of the things I learned during the therapy was that you can't fully be what you need to be for your children when you're not at your best.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to show her how to be the best her if I wasn't at my best. So taking that time off, I got to spend more time with my daughter. And we got to build a closer bond, really getting to know who she was and not trying to raise a child I thought I would have, but raise a child I do have. And that was a lesson, I tell you right now.
Many people don't get that until they're adults. Like the kid don't get that until they're an adult.
Exactly. And that was like oh my goodness, I've really got to get a hold of that thing, but I had to really dig deep and start to ask myself, what was my worth? What was it that I felt I was worth? And that was a major breakdown during that year point, because I didn't feel like I was worthy of much of anything. I didn't feel like I was worthy to be a mother. I didn't feel like I was worthy to ever be anyone's wife. I didn't feel like I was worthy of like Jesus's love, because I went on that man fast, but when I started it, I was not back in Christ yet. I returned during that time. So, I didn't feel like I was worthy. I was like, I just strayed away and did all of my dirty deeds. So there's no way that the Lord would want me back.
And see, going on that man fast, God brought you back to the man who loved you first.
Right. There were so many lessons on that journey. When you don't have all of those distractions, because that's all that it really was for me. you discover and learn and reconnect with things, like you said, going back to the man who loved you first, like that first love. There was nothing like that.
Right.
I mean, I know Tehran loves me, but he can't love me the way, the father can.
Right.
And just like learning that, rediscovering that. And once I got back into Christ, I started to learn, where I needed to be spiritually in order to be back in a position to ever date again. Because there were things that, I needed deliverance from. There were things that I had strongholds that, that I needed to let go and have a lot of things washed off of me. And the only way that was going to happen was through Christ. So there were things I couldn't do. I wasn't ever going to do on my own. They weren't going to get done through therapy. Now, therapy does a lot. Yeah. But there were things that just weren't going to come off because you need Christ to do it.
Right.
So he needs to work it out. And so I went through a whole spiritual journey during that time as well. And the most important things for me that I learned was what my worth was. So that I didn't have to accept the things that I had allowed men to give me prior. I didn't have to allow cheating. And I didn't, you're like, well, I mean, that's my man. And, he did it. Okay. I'll forgive you. He said he's sorry. And it happens again. And so then it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna leave him, but then you get into another relationship and it's happening all over again. And at some point you're asking yourself, like, how did I get here? What am I doing? Why, why am I letting this happen?
It's a blessing. Girl. You look up, you're like, wait a minute.
How did I get here? And I really just learned, like, you allowed it.
Right.
Because I didn't think I was going to be worthy of having someone be faithful. So I allowed it. One of the ways that I was able to start knowing what I would accept and not accept, because what I learned was I didn't even know what I wanted. You know what I mean? But I learned that I don't even know what I want in this whole, like, when you get married, what do you want? What do you need? And I'm still rediscovering those things. You discover more detail of what you want. Right. But I would take myself out on dates. I would get up, get dressed up, be like, oh, I look good. You know what I mean? Make myself look as great as I wanted to look. And I would go out. And I would go out and do things that I wanted to do. And so even if it was the most simplest thing as taking myself to go eat dinner and then go see a movie, I did that by myself. And I remember I had started doing it. I think it was healthy. But I remember there was a time that I was doing it so often that my mother and brother, they'd be like, you all right? You need...
That's what's happening to me. I went on a fast when I became single almost 4 years ago. I was like, all right, I'm not talking to nobody. And then when I tried to talk to somebody, I felt like I had an asthma attack. I was so scared. I was like, I'm not ready. Okay, God, you're right. I'm not ready.
Oh my goodness.
And I literally started hyperventilating. I was like, oh my God. But I started taking myself out on dates. I would go to the movies alone. I would go out to eat alone. I would go to concerts alone. And my coworkers would be like, you went to the movies by yourself? I'm like, yeah, and it was fun. I didn't have to entertain nobody. I didn't have to think about nobody. I just thought about myself. I got whatever I wanted to eat and watch whatever I wanted to watch. And when I went to Anita Baker by myself, and I was just in heaven, just by myself.
Oh my goodness.
I was the only one standing up in my row, and I was just like, best decision ever made. Like, you don't have to entertain anybody. You don't have to think about somebody else's feelings all day. Like, you can really think about yourself and what you want to do.
Right.
But now that things are coming into view, you're like, whoo! I'm scared.
you know, I got to a point where I wasn't scared to date. As I was getting closer to that year, and I was like, Lord, I'm not scared to date. I just don't want to. So I had got to this selfish point towards the end of that year, and I said, well, you know what, Lord? Ain't nobody gonna love me the way I'm loving me right now. So I'm gonna stay single for as long as I can. I was like, nobody's gonna love you the way you love me. Nobody's gonna love me the way I love me. No one's gonna love me the way Lyric loves me. And I'm okay with that right now. I'm not, I had gotten to this point of I wasn't lonely. And I had also, the opportunity had came for me to not work and to go back to school full time, which was like a dream come true for me, because I really wanted, my original plan was to work one more year to save money, and then go back to school for a year without, having to worry. But when the opportunity came up and I took it, I was living just, it was amazing. I was just in a childhood dream. Okay. So I was like, who wants to leave this place? And I'm doing it by myself with you.
Right.
There was no reason to date. And then right at the end, my birthday was at the beginning of October. So I was like, well, that year is up. But towards the end of that, the beginning of the next month, actually, I told one of my best friends, my good friends, I called her up and I was telling her just normal conversation. And I told her, I kind of like someone and I don't need to be liking nobody. And she was like, why not? I was like, because I just came off that little man fast. I don't think I need to be liking nobody. I think I should, just chill out, And I remember her and me talking, and I had told her that summer, I was like, I feel like the Lord keeps telling me I have to do my husband list, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want a husband yet. And she was like, well, you better do, if that's what you feel like he's telling you, better do it. And when I had finally did it, wrote down this whole list, prayed over it once, stuck it in the Bible, and I was like, there it is. I did it. I'm not really looking. And about 5 months later, here I am telling her, there's someone, I'm a little interested in someone, but they probably don't see me. They don't know me like that. And of course she beat it out of me. Like, who is it? Who is it? And I was like, I can't tell you because you know who it is.
Friends do. They beat it out of you.
And she was like, I know who it is. Oh, you have to tell me. And so, naturally in telling her, she was like, what? Like, what? Really? And, me being like, me and him only ever talk about business or like our life goals, but we've never had like a personal conversation. That man probably don't even know I exist outside of a business realm. Like, that's how I felt. And I was like, I'm just gonna keep my mouth closed because I'm not ready. I kept telling her, I'm not ready. There's no way I'm ready. And I remember her being like, well, why aren't you? Who says you're not? Haven't you been doing all the work? And I'm like, yeah, but, and she was like, well, when are you gonna be ready then? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. And, so the fear for me kicked in after the year, and I realized I was interested in someone. And that's where
the fear is.
Yeah, that's where the fear kicked in. Because prior, I was like, I could care less about dating. Who cares? I don't need it. I don't care. I'll stay single forever. But when I was like, oh my goodness, I would really like to just talk to you about something that's not business related, I was so scared. Like, how do you start a conversation? It was weird to be like, how do you do the whole dating thing? Like, how do I do this? Maybe I don't say anything. And then for me, I really wanted to make sure that I did a relationship that was centered around Christ. And so I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to talk to nobody first anyway. So I got to just wait. I got to just sit and wait. I mean, that's what I got to do.
That's what I've been doing. Like, every time, like a guy is interested in me or whatever, because I've been single for almost 4 years. And it's not like men haven't come up to me and asked me out or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just every single time I ask God, show me what I can't see. That's the prayer I ask. Mm. And it happens immediately. Dang, like the shoe dropped on my head and I was like, all right. And it's not even like, because people feel like, somebody like a red flag showing up or whatever. Really, when I'm asking God to show me what I can't see, he's telling me, can you deal with this forever? If you were to...
Right. That's important. Yeah.
Can you deal with this forever? Do you think you're going to waste your time if you start dating this guy and I just showed you something that you don't like or whatever? Are you going to choose you or are you going to compromise or whatever? Which I swore I wouldn't do for my last relationship. I was not going to compromise my standards, my personal beliefs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this time I'm like, God, show me what I can't see. And I'm like, God, you're showing me everything, all right? Have you shown it yet? No? Oh, yes? Okay. I don't see a shoe drop at all. And then he's very odd, like low-key prophetic, and I'm like, hey.
This is too much.
I'm scared.
This ain't exactly what I was asking for, Lord.
I mean, it is, but like...
Yes. I was just hoping it was going to be in a different form.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not terrified. Like, I'm not scared like I was 4 years ago, thinking I was ready and I wasn't. It's just like that natural fear, like, oh, this could really happen. Like,
right.
This can really happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, snap.
It is. It's really scary. It's because you have a fear. I know some people don't understand it, but that's you may not be as afraid of it failing as you are of it succeeding.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was like, I'm used to the failure. If we get together and it don't work out, I know what's coming. It's that fear of I don't know.